This is Dorothea's chair.
Okay.
Is that Dorothea's chair?
move around the mic to talk that way and not just face straight forward. Just gently move your body. Are we ready?
Are we all set? Wow, this is loud. You don't have to be very close to this, guys. Okay, we are ready. I'm supposed to give the thumbs up to the, I guess they're videotaping this. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Gary Hunter, and thank you for coming. We are a group of poets called the Wordkeepers. Began by Dorothea Bisbas, this lady here, the poet laureate of Rancho, Mirage. This group was begun almost 30 years ago, and Dorothea passed away last month in March. So we would like to dedicate this reading to her. Thank you for a lot of Dorothea's family for coming, and Carol, you are up to bat first. You'd like a few things to say. Where are you? There you are. Come on up, Carol.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Dorothea's daughter, Carol, and I would like to thank the Wordkeepers group, Gary Hunter, and this library for allowing us all to come together in celebration and honor of my mother, who dedicated 29 years teaching master level poetry here. Writing and teaching poetry was her great passion, and it filled the past 30 years of her life with a sense of purpose, deep fulfillment, and accomplishment. Her published books and work leave a treasure trove of legacy and heritage for future generations. Dorothea's particular gift for teaching stemmed from a loving, creative, and inquiring mind as she nurtured others to develop their unique talents, encouraging them to think, to dream, to learn, to do. She possessed a mind of wisdom from the ages of Socrates, the heart of an unconditionally loving angel, and the soul of a Sufi poet. She could turn the mundane into the extraordinary and loved all things of beauty in people and in nature. Her strong connection to the divine, palpable. She simply had a gift that could bring out the best in others and was deeply admired by everyone whose path she crossed. Her kindness and gentleness was always felt and genuine. She would often tell me her reason for being alive was simply to love, and that love shined from within her for all to see and receive. Thank you all for being here today and for allowing her legacy of love to continue on through the spark and creativity of the poets here today. Enjoy the reading.
Okay, thank you, Carol. So I would like to read something. We just received our latest anthology, just arrived yesterday. So these will be for sale. This is the last anthology that Dorothea has some poetry in. And the last one, she insisted we do this. Remember a couple months ago? We get this done. So we've completed that. But from the previous anthology, she wrote this. Poetry is changing. Gone are the classic sensibilities. Gone are the standardized forma and limitations. The restless art has blossomed into new, inventive ways to maintain the music, the diction, the lyricism of the soul of poetry. Today you will hear a sample of the new art, the voice of the Wordkeepers, dedicating to preserving this literary expression. Each week, we gather to read and critique our individual works. There is a camaraderie, a spirit that prevails and unites us in this artistic search, an energy of sharing and expanding. We have in common a hard, aching love of this form of literary expression. In this age of digital revolution, we share an anxiety that the love of language may disappear. In our bold and current groupthink workshop, we are dedicated to keep poetry alive, to embrace beauty of language in new and unexpected ways. We hope you will hear the craft and feel the passion. By attending today, you are participating in keeping poetry in blossom. So our first poet, we'll jump right in, is Bernard, our oldest, our wisest, our most unpredictable. Bernard?
Okay, I'm okay, I think. Good afternoon, everyone. That was a dramatic start. I hope my poems will live up to that. Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to read 3 poems today, 3 different moods. Hopefully you'll enjoy them. The first poem is entitled Age Engaged. I'll turn 100 years old in August. How much longer will I be able to live on my own, keep house, drive my car, yoga, engage my children, grandchildren, godchild, connect with family, friends, clients who pay to hear what I say? How much longer? Until my river of life runs dry. The second poem is of a lighter mood, and I was inspired by a fellow poet, Roger Horton, to write this poem titled, Maybe I'll Be Reincarnated. Maybe I'll come back as a cat, lie in the sun from dawn to dusk. Maybe I'll be a he. Maybe I'll be a she. It won't matter to me. Maybe I'll come back as a feral feline, freeloading in Trader Joe's parking lot. Maybe I'll get caught. Maybe they'll neuter me. Dear God, I hope not. Maybe I'll be carted around in a carriage, pretending not to notice anyone or be fazed by anything, yawning, stretching, pawing, like fat cats do. Maybe I'll be named Tabby, maybe Pussycat. Maybe I'll make friends with Fraidy Cat. Maybe human sounds will sound nonsensical to me. And the last poem is, I miss you, Dorothea. I became a poet the day you became my muse. For the past 18 years, Wednesday's Wordkeepers enriched my life. 7 years your senior, I was supposed to succumb first. Sadly, you altered the sequence. Like the best laid plans of man and muse, you usurped my place, creating a dilemma. Where will I find a someone to replace an irreplaceable you? Thank you very much.
One thing I forgot to mention, hold your applause till the poet finishes their poems, okay? I mean, you did fine there, I'm just saying. Joanne?
Good afternoon. I am Joanne Gill, and I had the opportunity right about 10 years ago to meet Dorothea for the first time when she was the guest speaker at the Palm Springs Writers Guild in this auditorium. She invited us to come and join Wordkeepers, which meets just right across the hall every Wednesday. I joined with others that I came to at that time, and for the last almost 10 years, she has helped me hone something that I have loved to do, writing both prose and poetry. I have 3 poems to share with you today. They all are narrative because they tell a story. Each one is different, and I hope that you will recognize the place or the situation or just the feeling of each. The first one is entitled 66 Degrees North. I cram bare feet into stiff cold boots, quickly shove my arms through the quilted jacket sleeves, flannel pajamas covered. Hurry, screams inside my head. Run, run outside. Silence greets me. I only see standing bodies as if frozen in time, heads tipped back, eyes wide open. Mossy, emerald green waves of color slash the horizon, blend to aquamarine, giant, abstract creations, twisting, turning like a comet's tail, swirling, pushing through the heavens. Fascinated, I am spellbound. Science declares aurora borealis. Yet, here in Iceland, during a plein air competition, Norse gods paint the night sky. The next poem is something that happened when I was waiting in a parking lot in downtown Palm Springs just a few months ago. 2 cicadas connect, cavort on my car hood. Engines rumble, vibrations throb. They quickly strum their timbre tissue back and forth to hum and buzz, swaying to music they simply make, briefly together in a timeless manner. Without a wave of a wing, they separate, uncommitted. She lays eggs in the ground. He searches, finds new lovers. My final presentation today is a poem that occurred several years ago, the actual event. And when I told Dorothea about it, she said, "You have got to be kidding. You did that?" So those of you who know and love her as we did will recognize that this is something she would not choose to do. Scared Spitless. I am the queen of off-road adventures until slick sand over a spot of asphalt causes the truck to plane into a rotating skid. No tires grasp the earth. No guardrail protects. A 2-foot dirt berm separates me from oblivion and a drop-off of 50 steep feet. Disaster is imminent. I turn the steering wheel toward the high slope of the mountainside. My Ram 4x4 spins out across the road. The truck's front end hits the rock face. With a pounding heart, I engage the 4-wheel drive, slowly back up. I stop, secure the emergency brake. Then step out of my truck, retrieve from the rocks and dirt the personalized twisted, and dented front license plate. Bluegill, BLU, UGIL, is undamaged. I am alive on an adrenaline high. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm so happy to see everyone here. How nice, without exception. My name is Maureen Mercury, and Dorothea's gift was helping us poets find our particular voice. So as you listen, you'll notice that all of us have a particular style. In fact, we laugh about it. We say, if you threw all the papers anonymously in the middle of the room, all of us could tell who wrote what. So see if you can hear the difference in the voices. My first poem is called Awake. Ever since the world conspired to put me to sleep, I've upped my coffee. Before, the fragrant black over-roasted brew was Mr. Coffee, 10 cups, 3 scoops. Now it's 12, and not a bad blip blood pressure number to show for it. I fight to pull, to try not to turn off, tune out, go numb, be dumb. Coffee is my Prince Charming, kissing me awake. I saw some shocked looks there when I said how much coffee. I didn't miss that. There we go. So this is dedicated to anyone who has ever sat for meditation. I'm not even going to say, show me your hands. I can already tell. Bad Buddhist. I try real hard. Since a snafu with a zafu, I use a chair, but my meditation just goes off. My mind won't rest. It runs like a cage-sprung monkey from a testing lab. I try and try again. I try real hard, but I do not love all mankind. So I work Tonglen to breathe in suffering and exhale compassion, because love is a bridge too far. But just as I get the monkey mind to stay for a split of a second in the infinitesimal gap between in-breath and out, the we're done gong sounds. And once again, enlightenment eludes my grasp as my monkey mind cartwheels out of the room singing, "Bad Buddhist, bad Buddhist." And finally, the curse of being a poet is the relentless examination of your inner world. To that end, I finish with enough. If I could claim a little patch of blue sky, my own morsel of blue infinity from a sliver of balcony on the blue ocean blue, if I could sit pencil and paper in all that blue, that tiny space of blue bounty, no frills, Zen temple, monk's cell, just endless blue and blue. If I could, would it be enough? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tom Robertson. It's been about 8 years since I joined the Wordkeepers, since Dorothea found me and took a craggy, cynical, crusty fire chief and turned him into the suave, kind Brad Pitt look-alike that stands before you today. Dorothea told me and told all of us lots of things, gave us lots of good advice about how to become a better poet. And one of the things that have stuck with me is that she said, if you want your poetry to sound authentic, if you want the reader or the listener to be able to relate to it, write about things that you know about. And so today I have 3 poems about things that I know about. One of them is about growing up on Palm Springs, Section 14 of the Agua Caliente Indian Reservation in the 1950s. And I'll begin with that. Summer on the Section, Palm Springs, Section 14, 1950s. In summertime, the world that was Section 14 became flat. The time when families came to the falling off place, the edge of hot days and hard times, the end of the tourist season. While the section sat back on its haunches to wait for fall dollars to flow, talk was of work, cesspools to dig, palm trees to trim, and ditches that stretched out like hours in the trembling heat. If violence had a season, it was summer, fueled by no future Friday paychecks, knowing that the rent eats first, and that survival was the distance between hard, hot, dirty work and the handle of a shovel. Summer brought days of tough times and bad behavior. The struggle caused hardening to soft places in faces, while the yeast of poverty activated their anger and families dissolved like salt in the rain. Second thing I know about is about fires. I was 32 years as a firefighter. And this poem was inspired by the Palisades fires. After the fire, numbed, red strobe family faces, their history hissing neath boots and hoses. Walls half gone, still licked by flames. Melted Tonka trucks, s'mores in fire's game. In the black and bitter ashes stands a single doorway jam with pencil lines to mark the years. The last poem is for Dorothea. Dorothea was the kind of person that every time you saw her, your heart leapt up. For Dorothea, the spirit of our poetic promise and the guardian and guide of our poetic path, from your grateful Wordkeepers. There is magic in this moment of a gathering of kindred spirits to celebrate a process that lends spirit, texture, and meaning to our lives. A process that helps to define our meaning to ourselves, our world, and to one another. There is power in our actions. These rituals we repeat again and again that strengthens the bonds that join us all together, heart to heart, and tells our unique and special story. There is strength in our process, the bones over which we spread our common skin of belonging, and the comforting constants of this group's life. Today we celebrate our love for a woman, a unique creation, born to experience wonder, create beauty, spread joy, and constantly remind us all, as to the power of words, the strength of passion, commitment, and the wonderful gift of a generous spirit. There is magic in this moment. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm Peter Shearson. I am a new member of this group. So I met Dorothea only a couple of times, but I think it's obvious from her students what kind of a person she was. So I feel very grateful to have found this group. When I first moved to Palm Springs, I joined the Writers Guild, and I looked at all the events, and none of them had anything to do with poetry. I thought there must be poets somewhere. Then I finally found out that for 30 years there had been poets meeting every week and working together. So I feel very grateful to have found the Wordkeepers. I too have 3 poems to read. The first one is Once in a Small Patch of Sky. I saw once in a small patch of sky between buildings a great stillness. I sometimes think about that, and sometimes I think about my friendship with my dog, his paw prints in the wet sand, and sometimes about a man I saw picking up acorns, homemade tattoos on the backs of his hands. And I often think about my mother, how I walked past a long succession of rooms at the crematorium until I saw her body lying there in her new reality, her face pale, slightly blue. After a long silence, they announced it was time to wheel her into the furnace, and in that moment, sunlight entered the room and kissed her on the crown of her head ever so gently. When finally she left, she was accompanied by clouds. Excuse me. This short poem is entitled The Purpose of Suffering. Every morning I am slower. It takes time to become myself. Nights, a tiny squeaking from somewhere in my body. A dream of the sea, falling, rising, wakes me. On the dresser, the photograph of my 3 granddaughters is touched by moonlight. The third poem is entitled Enlightenment. I couldn't see it. Not in the old church, not from the balcony in the September starlight. After the holidays, I tried again, but no. You asked, why not? And I explained, disguising my explanation as silence. In the red bathroom, the faucet dripping, I could only stare wordless at the mirror. Even in the palace of crystal, the light framing the dancers, I was blind to it. I wanted to see it. I wanted to and wanted to, until my wanting wore itself out, and I just lay down. Here on the sand, among the dry rocks, I just lay down. And as a flurry of finches swept up through the bare trees, my eyes dropped away, and I saw it. No, it was not heroic or bigger than life, nor was it mystical as I thought it would be. It was just itself, and I saw it. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to everyone. My name is Marilyn Jones, and I also am new to Wordkeepers. I've been with Wordkeepers for less than a year. my knowing your mom and Dorothea was such something I'm so grateful for, because she was a phenomenal teacher. And I've been a teacher, so I recognize when I'm being well taught, obviously. But she also had compassion and a tenderness and a strictness. So she really guided me. I was a new poet. I am a new poet. And she really helped me and encouraged me. You are a poet. And when she said that, I had made it. I felt so great. So I just have 2 poems today. The first one, In Midair. Enough time goes by, all that's left, a shadow of a feeling, once warm, safe, now as ashen as a San Francisco afternoon when we wandered among the ruins of the Sutro Baths overlooking the vast Pacific. 2 photos from that day. One I took, a black lab leaping, caught by the camera midair, his sleek young body suspended over the luminous saltwater pool, a moment stalled forever. The other photo taken by a stranger, a triptych, Luis and I and his sullen child. I'm leaning into Luis's arms, shivering against the wind. He whispering as he enfolds me, "Let me be your sweater." I gaze at that photo today and try to remember, did the dog make it to the other side? My next poem is called Hymn, as in a hymnal. The sun lowers over Newport Bay, water like liquid emerald in the fading light. Our paddles dip deep, creasing the surface, pulling us forward as we silently lift, rest, dip, and pull deeply again. We've returned home after training offshore, burned through merciless pain, determined to conquer the strong Pacific current and make our time. Free now from the power of the ocean, the outrigger glides straight and easily among the moored boats. Masts throwing long shadows over the bay's golden green mirror. Stirring me from my reverie floats a deep silk contralto. Directly behind me, the handsome young Hawaiian sings so gently his words in the glimmering twilight, a hymn. Summertime and the living is easy. One by one, the 5 of us join him, heads still bent to our task. Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. We sing together, lost in this sacred moment.
Hi, I'm Roger Horton. Dorothea had a tremendous impact on me, and so I wanted to begin by reading a poem by Dorothea from the Omega collection, her book. The poem is called That Fragile Structure Called Love. In time, the heart grows large, stronger able to hold more without tiring. The boundaries that separate us grow smaller, arms open wider. In the cemetery, space folds like paper, rarefied space containing time, weeds of regret, attitudes, confessions, promises. Climb the gravestone. Are you still there? In the tangle of trees, I feel a warmth, a presence, a breath, palpable. Is it you? When Dorothea founded Wordkeepers, it was on the principle that she often would say to us that everything we do in Wordkeepers must be based in love. And that direct statement had a huge effect on me. So when I write poems, I try to tease the listener to the point that they feel loved. So this first poem is titled, What Now? If before I wrote, I waited until I had something to say, I'd never write anything. No, the thing to do is start, because one thing I know, when I write, I'm smarter than I am in real life. Think about it. Go back to this morning when you're adrift in that wake of waking between the loose ends of an unfinished dream and the dog licking your instep. You pull your foot back under the covers and begin the fight with yourself whether to get up or stay in bed. Your version of to be or not to be, only more profound. If you go back to sleep, maybe you'll finish that dream. It would be good to finish something. This poem, for instance. You're aware of the dog turning 3 times and lying down beside the bed. You wonder, how does a dog know what to do all day? This next poem. All right. Next poem is titled On Earth as It Is, 4 haiku. Morning moon descends behind the blushing mountain, runs, chases the night. 2 cats in sunlight swat the dog's wagging tail, here on earth as it is. Like anybody, I'm not procrastinating, just don't want to now. Showers, dresses, drives to a funeral, texting, I wish it were mine. The last poem is titled An Eye for an Eye, but it's written an eye for an eye. Okay. Whatever it may look like I'm doing, I'm actually always writing a poem. I'll be walking the dog and tell people I run into, don't bother me, I'm writing a poem. Or I'm babysitting, and one of the grandkids will crawl up on my lap. Can't you see I'm trying to write a poem? Of course, the hardest to deal with is my wife, when she tugs on my earlobe or other things, or whispers into my neck, and I cry out to the poem, don't leave, don't go. And the poem smiles sweetly, softly blows me a kiss, and walks out to the kitchen where she makes a sandwich. My favorite, pastrami on rye. She cuts the sandwich into pieces as if to share, but then she eats them, every one. Thank you. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's see if we can put this where it should be. My name is Maureen Doherty, and with my husband Paul, I have been a part-time resident of Rancho Mirage for 35 years. Our other home is in Ireland. My first poem today is a haiku I wrote in fond appreciation of Dorothea, Poet Laureate of this library, the generative muse of the Wordkeepers. Dorothea's affirming guidance helped us all to soar. So in my heart, I will always see her. Riding the updraft, soaring the morning glory, red kite untethered.
My next poem is about something I know and possibly an endangered point of view in today's world. 13 Ways of Looking at a Womb, with a nod to Wallace Stevens. The protector of the antecedents of our preborn descendants. A water meadow of the natal stream that spawns the inheritors. The germinator of conceptions of love and lust alike. A matriarchal womb that accommodates the penetrations of patriarchy. Sperm incoming from the pitcher's mount, fair and foul to the infield fly, aiming for a home run to the catcher's box. A destination for biological formation. The hearth and bellows that kindles into being the seed fire of the generations. The poetry of random purpose, hustling for genetic advantage. Channeling the rhythms of ovulation, the insurgency of spasmodic copulation, the serendipity of random fertilization. A power coupling of DNA to create an auspicious conception. An embryonic cultivar destined for propagation in a pregnant womb. A uterus that cradles the asset, watches over its promise, and when the growing is done, tightens its grip to loosen the hold, propels the infant jubilant into an awaiting world. Ever since Eve issued from Adam's rib, our species has delivered from a woman's womb. Will there be some consequential time when humankind is no longer of woman born? I remember a grand multipra of 15 births or more, her womb stretched thin from laboring, and marveled at her tender welcome for her newborn child. And my final poem, Dorothea was always keen to help us situate ourselves in a time and place. So this poem is about an Easter vigil at Kirkham Abbey, with the epithet from Rabindranath Tagore: faith is the bird that sings in the dark before the sun rises. The moon shines pearly white, ghostly as the headlights that flit across the lunar grey limestone of the Burren. A convoy of New Age pilgrims travel through the night, come to bear witness to a rekindling of the flame, the fire set by Patrick on the Hill of Slain, a beacon of enlightenment that snaps at the darkness, burns till birdsong marks the dawning of a new day, a joyful chorus, rising with the Kyrie of the faithful, now moving in solemn procession from the Mass rock to the altar stone, still standing resolute in the abbey ruins of Sancta Maria, Saint Mary of the Fertile Rock, where pagan beliefs once melded with the faith of a new Roman Christianity, a sacred place where our desacralized modernity now comes seeking an epiphany, a rebirth splendid as the sun on Easter morn, rising over the gravestones of the ancestors that sleep in the shade of the abbey ruins of Kirkham Row, a custodian still standing in the ancient
barony of burn. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am David Murphy, and along with Marilyn and Peter, one of the newer members of the Wordkeepers. So unfortunately, not long enough to have gotten to know Dorothea personally. But Dorothea was the type of person that even if you just were with her for a couple of months, you saw her kindness, you saw her generosity, you saw her love of mentoring and teaching her fellow poets. My friends have talked about Dorothea's exhortation to write about what you know, and she certainly knew poetry. And Carol, you talked about her lifelong love of poetry. So I want to lead with one of Dorothea's poems, which really captures her love of poetry. And building on the Wallace Stevens poem, this is her homage to Wallace Stevens, and it's called 13 Ways to Look at a Poem. Nothing new is told in a poem, only the way it unfolds, like a flag. You recognize the country and salute it. Everyone is born a poet, then society kicks in, conformity makes us forget. Ask a poet how he finds a poem. He will tell you they find him. When writing a poem, be sure to blow off the top of someone's head. Emily will be proud. A poem is a tango performed underwater. A poem is an idea that appears moments before waking and vanishes into your dreams. A poem is like an item in a woman's purse. You know it's in there, but you have to dig to find it. A poem is a dust mote, floating in front of my eyes. When I go to grab it, it drifts away laughing. Something mystical happens when you connect with a poem. You feel you could have written it if you only had the words. A poem is a harp played with passion. It sends us to a place we yearn for. A poem is a reflection of the human condition. No one knew that better than Shakespeare. Poetry happens when you are watching a hummingbird and you become the bird. A poem is a laundry line aerating our emotions in the wind. The crisp and crackle are the tender mercies. I discovered that poem when reading one of Dorothea's previous books and just fell in love with it. And I was very happy when the group decided to use Dorothea's poem that I just read as the first poem in our new anthology that's just out. So her poetry lives on still. I chose, from my poetry, I wanted to read two poems that I thought might be appropriate for today that speak to something I wrestle with in my own life, perhaps you as well. And it's when I catch myself dwelling too much on what time takes from us, what time steals, as opposed to dwelling on the moments and memories that time gives to us. So I'm going to read two poems that kind of stalk around that theme. The first is called The Light of Being. Every star in the sky will die. Unaware they no longer shine, confusing the reflection in our eyes for the light of their being. As will the swan, plumed in white meringue, gliding across the lake like feathers stroking silk. As will the palm tree, its fronds echoing the breeze, memories of dragon fruit mojitos and lazy days in Belize. So too my yellow lab, stealing a nap so soon after breakfast, the reward for a hard day's work, best earned by late afternoon. We need not a telescope to know we are infinity's dust. Here for a nanosecond, a flash of little consequence, until we see the knowing smile of our oldest friend. Savor the juice of a freshly plucked orange. Inhale spring to restock what winter stole. Feel loved for the first time and realize nothing in the universe matters more. And my last poem is called Awakening. Winter's last breath has given life to newborn leaves animating the giant elm in my front yard, a colossus ever conspiring with Michigan's lake-sharpened gales to engulf my home. I shed again my boreal fur, sartorial armor against winter's exacting indifference, reorder clothing in my closets to effect my seasonal renewal. Watch hydrangea emerge on cue to serenade my street with a duet of lavender and violet. I smile as Lenten roses repaint this hotel art landscape with the grace of a pink and cream Monet. I watch this chorus of color unfold, morning coffee in hand, fuzzy slippers on feet, slowly awakening to the central plot of a play I have attended every year. That spring portends nature's rebirth as well as its replacement, foreshadowing the arc of my seasons to bud, blossom, and gently fall, making room on the branch for the next. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Stanley, and I'm not going to go on about myself. I'm a playwright, filmmaker, and all those things. But rather than do that, I have a short thought before I read my poems, and this is for you, Carol, and your family. I wrote this after my own dear mother died. A thought of her. I remember the day my mother died, and how the earth moved ever so slightly, as if music was off key, a story told in an odd sequence, a movie playing over and over. Others didn't seem to notice or didn't speak of it, their tears clothed in silence. But I felt the wonder, the soft trembling beneath me, changing everything forever. So my first poem I'm going to read is called Notes on a Film. I wondered if my script would resonate, convey the nuance, the meaning of things, of what I meant to say anyway. But on set, cameras rolled. All words suddenly disappeared from the pages in my hand. They were gone. I looked down, there was nothing. Stealthily, the actors had taken them off, turned them into people who breathed and moved about, speaking to each other with emotions and tears, creating their own world for an audience. I put my script down gently. It was time to go. I didn't ask them to come back. Oh no. I knew I'd write new words. This, some of you are my age or relate to this, I hope. The backup singer. Voices floated above the arena, brushing against outstretched hands, plaintive notes, perfect harmonies, lyrics, intoning, wisdom, truth, heralding the revolution. I study the mastery in awe. A singer's long blonde hair moved back and forth in rocking motions, accentuating the pathos of the world. Asking salient questions. They were leaving on a jet plane. What if she had a hammer? Where had all the flowers gone anyway? Rhetorical, philosophical brilliance. We were one with the movement. Sister Sledge had her sisters. Martha her Vandellas. My calling became evident. The mohairs were born. Strumming guitars, our trio sang in dorm rooms, frat parties. We wore garish, fluffy sweaters and opined. A semester take some time, a move to Greenwich Village, destiny. Then in a discerning moment I awoke. Aretha stood there, dreamlike, looking out on the morning rain. There was no music, and I knew. Resigned to the demise of my career, I wistfully opened my backpack, bent over my history notes. Finals loomed. Graduation. I was in a choir once and was lucky enough to sing in Europe, different places. They let me into this group, it was all good. Stephansdom, St. Stephen's Cathedral, Vienna, 12th century. Monks bent to their task, pen gold leaf and ink onto ancient parchment, writing narratives across centuries. They sing Latin texts in plain song. Notes rise, fall, a quatrain of all reasoning, all hope. Kings and queens entombed within ancient walls emerge curious. They gather about on cold stone floors to listen. Ubi caritas et amor, Deus ibi est. Where charity and love abide, God is. And when music fades to silence, they smile, turn away with grace, to wait, to wait.
I'm Raymond Chavez, and I'm here today because of our poet laureate, Dorothea Bisbas. In 2017, Dorothea welcomed me into the Wordkeepers poetry group. Dorothea nurtured my creative growth as a poet. Dorothea's advice: write about what you experience in life, about family, culture, the good, the bad, and not so good. Let your narrative poetry tell a story, a beginning, a middle, and end. Take the listener on a journey. One afternoon, Dorothea asked us, "Why do you write poetry?" My first poem. Why I write poetry. Because I come from a family of farm workers and storytellers who celebrated their good fortune around a campfire. Because as a little boy, mi abuelita, my grandmother, filled my head full of stories of when she was a young girl in Mexico. Because she unleashed my imagination to see, hear, feel, to run wild, never allowing my free spirit to be corralled. Because the rumors and whispers were true, mi abuelito, my grandfather, was a Mexican revolutionary, a pistolero, riding with Pancho Villa, fighting for the people. Because voices speak to me at all hours, needing to be heard. So in my sleep, I listen and listen and listen. Because a storm from A to Z rages in my head, letters exploding, fighting to become words, a simple sentence, a complex verse. Because mi papa, tired of all the whys, why this, why that, why? Frustrated, he would yell out, "Cállate,
con tus pendejadas. Shut up with your nonsense. Because in school, I was labeled slow and would not amount to much. For not being able to speak English, I would show them all. Because I flunked first grade and placed in group 4, labeled 4F, unfit. Maybe they were right. Because Rancho Mirage Poet Laureate Dorothea Bisbas labeled me a poet. The applause in New York showed all the doubters they were wrong. Because when I die and got asked, I gave you the gift of words. And what did you do with it? I shared it with whoever would listen and listen and listen. I'll just share this poem, why I write poetry. Dorothea and I, we had discussions. And she said, take a look at every angle, every moment in your life, and find something to write about. And because she was such an excellent mentor, she pointed me in the right direction. And thank you, Dorothea. My next poem is about me and mi mama and mi abuelita. I was beyond a handful. I had energy that would never run out. Titled, A Penny, a Fly. I rise before the sun. Eat, sleep, play is my day. Mama is tired and needs rest. Hurriedly she packs my bag. Off to the farm I am sent. Abuelita happily kisses me. She is old. I am new, all of 6. I have more questions than she has answers. By midday, she is tired and needs rest. Abuelita hands me a worn fly swatter. A penny, a fly, she promises. Out the door I run, swat after swat, fly after fly, pepper the porch. 10 flies equal 10 pennies. I live in a 10-cent world. I am rich. Ice cold Coca-Cola, chocolate ice cream cones, and Superman comics, 10 cents. I call Abuelita. Slowly she comes. Her eyes tell me I've done well. Together we kneel down, count fly after fly. She reaches deep into her torn apron pocket. 100 pennies rain onto my hands. I help her up. She hugs me. She turns and slowly goes inside. I run to La Tiendita, the little store. Ice cold Coca-Cola, chocolate ice cream cones, and Superman await. I am rich. This poem came to life. The seed of this poem was planted in my little mind back in 1956 on their farm in La Quinta, where Costco is now located. That was their farm, 40 acres, back in the day. They did well, and they really worked me hard. My last poem. My third poem is a reflection of our Dorothea, sharing her God-given gift of creativity, inspiring others to become poets. My poem. Our poet laureate, Dorothea Bisbas. A spring night, high above in the calm sky, Dorothea's shining star is born, June 17, 1931. Radiating creativity, interwoven compassion, kindness, generosity, sharing her God-given gift, the written word, her imagination, her poetry, inspiring poets at the table, nurturing originality, to be who you are, voicing words from deep within. Our poetry takes flight, energized by life moments lived, guiding our creative journey. Our poet laureate, Dorothea Bisbas, March 19, 2025. A winter night, high above in the calm sky, Dorothea's shining star at peaceful rest. Thank you.
Well, these are the Wordkeepers, and you've heard everyone. I'm Gary again, and it's hard to believe that she's not with us because she gave us so much. I know when I met her about 10 years ago, and I was just writing on my own, and without feedback, you can only go so far. So when I met her, it completely changed the direction of my poetry. So my first poem is from a book I wrote called Poetry Rock 2. I have a rock in front of my house where I post a poem every day. It's like a real estate flyer attached to a rock. And I've been doing that almost 10 years, so I challenged myself. So the first poem I'm going to read is anyone who loves writing, especially this gang and perhaps some of you out there. How to thank a language. Just what can you offer to all the letters, each consonant and vowel, the loose but vital scaffolding of punctuation that tries to organize every clear or chaotic mind, every trampled or engorged heart that has something to say, with a trophy or medal, too easily tarnished and rarely dusted. Maybe a memorial or statue, but of what? A book? A pair of glasses? An open mouth? Cookies, brownies, ice cream cake? A nice secondary gift for something with a waist? No, there's only one way to thank a language. Be magnificent with your words. The second poem I'd like to read is one that Carol saw somewhere that I wrote about Dorothea shortly after she passed, and I don't even know how she saw it, but I told her I would read it. It's called To Love a Teacher. She treated every poem like a surgeon would a patient. Her critiques were the scalpel that opened it, cut out growths restricting its well-being, maybe implanted a word or two, then stitched it back up with a positive prognosis. Rarely would she say someone's verses weren't going to make it. She rescued my poetry more times than I can remember, and at some point I knew she was more than her profession. So I laid down and opened my heart. The last poem I'd like to read is one of my favorites that Dorothea wrote, and I'll close the program with this. It's from her book, The Omega Collection, her last poetry publication. We are all made of stars. We have a love affair with the sky. No divisions, no barriers, only the pure poetry of its constant silence. This sameness belongs to everyone. Cobalt blue, ebony black, the promise of life in another sphere. Now on the inner surface of this dome, we will navigate the unknown, new constellations, the movement of planets across the world. We will immerse ourselves in lush splendor, moons, auras, meteors, navigating the universe, north, south, and beyond. Night sky, your mystery draws us. Your immense dark, full of jewels, diamonds and garnets and streaking emeralds. We are in awe of your most precious gems. We want to explore your solar wonders in search of epiphanies, in search of ourselves. This sky holds the promise of more life, the truths we have yet to recognize, our own magnificence, our own shining lights. Remember, as you see the sky exposed, it is our hope, it is our future, it is everything. We are all made of stars. So that is the program. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for any of the poets at all, or comments, or? Yeah.
Why don't you say what she wrote that for, if you remember? It was the dedication of the...
Oh, yes. This We Are Made of Stars was written as a dedication poem for the observatory over here as part of this. Yeah, I forgot that. So that's our program, and thank you all. There's cookies, coffee, water. This book, we do have this, if anyone's interested. I guess see David, if you're interested in, it's a $10 book. So thank you all. Thank you for coming.
I thought that was perfect what you did. I mean, yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you. I am.